Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. We're coming to you live from CES in Las Vegas, Nevada. Joining me for this segment, we have Bill Briggs. He's a principal and chief technology officer at Deloitte, and we're here to discuss why AI will play a profound role in various aspects of everyday life. Bill, it's great to have you with us.
Thanks, Jill. Good to be here.
Welcome to TradeTalks. Of course,
Thank
AI
you.
is top of everyone's mind at CES. Yep. You don't. I mean, every industry, every vertical is
every booth,
playing in the tech space
100%,
now.
Yep.
And it's moving quick, and every iteration of it moves quicker.
Yep.
What's next for AI then?
Well, so we do our annual tech trends report. So we published it a little bit ago. The theme was AI everywhere, and it's easy to say, well, of course, surprising no one, and we see it here in the headline of every industry, but the main point was it's moving to the point of being like electricity. It's embedded in, it's a feature, not a product. It's helping us unlock potential value as we apply it, but it's also driving advances in all these other technology areas that are equally important. And it's always a danger to make any one thing the hero of the story. And it's not dismissing AI, and the advance of AI is a really important piece of that, but it's an ingredient. And so how do we unlock that? And you start seeing it here in different industries. And I think a year from now, we'll see less headlines in booths saying AI is a feature. Like no one's saying we have electricity now, as we walk the booth. I think a year or two now, it's going to be assumed. We'll talk about it less, but it'll actually be more prevalent. And the advances we're seeing in chipsets, and the advances we're seeing in algorithms and capabilities, all of those play into it for sure.
Which is so interesting because this is our third year covering CES, and we've always been in what was called the EV hall. And we've been like, okay, you know, what BMW's car looks like, or the really cool car that was here.
Right. Yeah.
This year, walking in, it was like, boom. I mean, it is electronification of everything. I mean, we have Corning over there. We have tractor companies. We have an autonomous fire engine here.
I saw a smart surfboard, which is fantastic.
And it's also with, you know, not even just the autonomous driving, but when it comes to safety and automotive technology, these aren't concepts anymore. Like we are starting, as a user, it's integrated into our lives.
Yeah, and one of the trends, and it's this idea of hardware suddenly making a comeback.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so we're playing on market recent, the software's eating the world from 12 years ago. The trend's about hardware eating the world, and it's everything from the advanced chipsets in the server or on device for AI that allows us to do different things on the edge, but it also is in the physical robotics, which has gotten a moment. I mean, we've always had cutesy little robots at CES, but you're seeing keynotes about location models and physical, how we navigate the world, which is necessary to close that gap. So that's the piece we're really excited about. And again, the tech is interesting, but it's the what do we do with it to think about different levels of hospitality and public service and healthcare, and we're seeing that play out.
It's funny, the guest I had on before you is a robotics company. I'm like, this is how you set the bar at CES, and we know we've arrived when an AI-powered robot gives the first keynote.
Yes.
That's when we know that we have certainly arrived.
Do we want to do the bet on that? I mean, Jensen's done the holographic.
I was actually going to high-five you, but I didn't want to be unprofessional.
No.
But it's funny you brought up hardware too. We had an academic on the show back at MarketSite, and we had another robotics company on yesterday talking about that. The academic said to me, he's a comp sci professor, was either Harvard or MIT, he's like, I tell my students, don't just come here for the software part of it.
Totally.
If you don't know the hardware, this doesn't mean anything, and you're hearing that on the academic and research side, and now being practically applied on the corporate side. Yeah,
and it's not dismissing the importance of software engineering and cloud, all of that is, but that was, the infrastructure and hardware almost became a commodity, and at least with Deloitte, we're helping the biggest companies, governments in the world figure out what to do with technology, what it means, how to apply it. And it wasn't a CEO level conversation. It's becoming that now. But I love this idea of that intersection between physical, hardware, software capability. One of the trends on spatial computing is exactly that. How do we navigate the real world and bring the physical and digital together? People think of it only in a metaverse, UR, XR. That's important in one of the use cases, but a lot of it's just how do we physically navigate a production floor. Or an emergency room.
And as we were talking about before, where we're integrating this, or interacting with it, like we are living this now, and that is one of the 6 macro tech forces within the Deloitte Tech Trends report. I do want to, because cyber is at the heart of what I cover. I want to talk about cyber and trust. Because we're dealing with a lot of data, a lot of very high sensitive data, and how do you trust something you can't see? You can't touch AI or touch electricity.
Well, just to beat the setup, why those macro forces are so important. So the trends report we do every year, and we talk about what's coming in the next 18, 24 months that you should pay attention to. So in a way, almost distilling, you don't have to walk 2.5 million square feet of CES to know what actually matters and what you should invest in. The macro forces are meant to be enduring. And they're grouped by interaction, information, computation, top of the house, the things that drive new value. But we have the bottom, the grounding forces of your core modernization. How do you invest in your existing systems to be able to do things at scale? Or the business of tech. Cyber is one of them, one of those other ones.
Right.
And say, hey, security, privacy, regulatory compliance, ethics and morality, like how do you have that shaping your investment strategy? The emphasis we put this year in cyber was on quantum encryption.
Yes.
Because Y2Q is what we're calling the moment we're in. NIST has published the standards for quantum encryption. UN has declared 25 the year of quantum. We know we have to invest because one of the problem sets that quantum will be really effective at solving is the backbone of public and private key encryption.
Yep.
That's a problem.
Well, it is a huge problem. How do you think digital assets, what's their backbone
Right,
based on?
right, and every certified trust and ledger. So the difference is we don't have the deadline. Right? We just celebrated 25 years of Y2K, where we had to do all the investment to be ready, and we knew exactly when it was going to hit.
Right.
This is more looming, but we know we have to start. And so we're trying to help clients understand. Now, when we do that, we have our systems, we have our data and infrastructure open. I like to say in the garage with the engine up, not the patience open on an operating floor. But either way, how do we then make the right investments into data and transactions so we can do agentic AI? If we have to do it for quantum encryption, we know that. Can we get something more out of it than just that?
See, that's a good point that you're making. So when we talk about climate tech as an example, what do we use as an emission and make that hybrid and fix another issue?
Right.
That's kind of the first time I've heard about agentic AI used in that capacity, but what's the consensus on this? I know companies have to plan now, but is this a 5 to 8 year, 3 to 5 year event where it's too late?
It's anywhere between 1 to 10 years, and most people are saying about 5, where it's out.
Right.
We have examples in the report, like JPMC is making investments now, it's just one example to be ready. Because once it hits, it's too late.
Right, and it's not an easy, cheap thing to fix. I mean, you have to budget and have the right skill set.
Totally, and this is why that whole idea of the core, how do we think about the investments we're making in our existing landscape, needs to be just as much as the conversation as how do we harness an emerging tech. And by the way, those two have to come together.
Right.
Front and back office, they can't be separate things. IT and OT and product tech can't be different things. So it's exciting, and as a tech leader, your responsibility is helping paint that full picture, so you're not stuck in chasing headlines or the shiny objects that get pitched out of a vendor conference or a consultant that comes to talk to you. Like, how do you help build confidence in the right things to invest in now?
And we could totally relate on that because, when it became part of the consumer vernacular in November 2022, it's kind of, okay, what stock has exposure to it? We've been covering it from, okay, what does this mean from responsible and ethical use of these technologies? Who owns the technology, like IP and so forth? What are you hearing from your clients, because you have bird's eye view of the whole landscape, in terms of these AI technologies that have been deployed, whether internal or externally, is it impacting ROI in a meaningful way?
It is, but there's a lot of noise from people doing the emptier calorie, easy standalone one-off investment and wondering why we're not seeing real return, right? So it's the idea of perpetual pilots and proofs of concepts and glorified demos. So we didn't do the hard work in the data infrastructure. We didn't do the hard work in the underlying systems and transactions. And so we say we want to do agentic now, but we don't have agents ready to be able to do anything, right? So we're seeing a ton of real value with AI, with investments done, clear use cases, clear how are we going to get it to scale and measure return. But we have a whole lot of folks that are frankly dissatisfied with, we chased the headline, we thought it would be the easy but we could just skip all the hard work. We can't.
It reminds me of blockchain in 2017, 2018, where you're trying to incorporate that into your story as it relates to the company. And when, you can always tell the cycle of what's happening based on the pitches that I get in. So, quantum has really been coming in the past 2 to 3 years and preparing for that. And it just reminds me a lot that the AI story, like blockchain looked in 2018.
Yes, and I think quantum for sure, we're at a point where we can only really think about the problems we kind of understand. And say, how would quantum computing unlock that? And a lot of them are more like optimization algorithms, right? And we're seeing a lot of investment in that, starting to. The unlock is going to be quantum is what kind of problems can physics solve that math couldn't? And that's not, I'm a computer engineer.
I was going to say,
I know, sorry, I'm not trying to blow minds on, but and we've had to hire, like at Deloitte, our quantum business, we've had to hire PhDs in physics and material science.
Because it's predictive technology is what they're leveraging, right?
Yeah, and it's we need folks deep enough to be able to say what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is our role, to be a bit of adulting in the conversation of, yeah, we're excited, like everyone, about where these things could go. Here's where it is now. Here's the real concrete business problems, government problems you can use to solve it. And we'll be ready to grow, but we're not going to be the ones hand-waving rhetoric of what it could be. I'm a big Beach Boys fan. Wouldn't it be nice? I hope and wish and pray it might come true. It's not our business model.
Yeah. Well, but I think that deliberate, structured, realistic approach is what every industry needs, rather than just telling a pretty con story.
Yeah.
This is to your point. It's almost like the internet in the late '90s. This is transforming life as we know it.
Yeah. And
that's a big responsibility.
Yeah, and the danger in this point in time, I think it's always been true, but especially now, when you make any one of these technology forces the hero of the story.
Right.
If you oversubscribe to one ingredient, you're going to miss the broader opportunity in the recipe, right? And so AI, we've made a point about AI is having its breakout moment now, but it's the backbone for spatial computing. It's the backbone for investments we're making in IT operations. It's the backbone for what's happening in quantum. But it in itself doesn't matter.
That's a great life lesson, by the way. You need to patent that quote over there.
Well, yeah, and it's not even using a spoon that can simulate salt on your tongue like we've seen here on the floor. Have you seen this yet?
I have not seen it, so tell us. Give us some inside info.
I don't. The headline is getting a lot of traction. It's a Japanese company that basically simulates electrical charge, so your taste buds taste salt, but there's no sodium in. It's just a fascinating one-off. My family always like, what's the most interesting thing you saw at CES that might win?
Well, hey, additive is a big story. I guess you can deploy technology there too.
Yeah, but I like it because the takeaway for me and my clients is that innovation people tend to think of as a light bulb eureka moment. More often it's import and export of ideas.
Right.
And so that little toy example, the patent was for a very different application. They just found a way to unlock it into,
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate the insight, Bill, and the inside
pleasure.
info. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. And thanks for joining me from CES. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.